Wishing you a very pleasant day. We're about to start the program Law and Order, where we give advices for you all to survive in the legal environment. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are regular with Law and Order, we were discussing about many disciplines. So today also we selected one of the most important topics that will lead you to have some knowledge about a certain discipline. So it's none other than mobile law. So we always use a mobile phone, but there is a legal history, legal scenario behind those things. So to do the honors with us, we have the thorough gentleman to speak about mobile law, having a practice over 35 years, is Senior Counsel, Mr. Ian Fernando. Thank you very much, sir, for joining with us.
All the best, Jared.
Right. So, sir, to give a quick start, what mobile law is, can you just explain?
Mobile law is the jurisprudence that is related to cell phones and transmitters. So basically, when you say jurisprudence on mobile law, it envisages cloning, you're using the phone, the way you use it for any criminal act, for any abusive process, your normal telephone calls, your hatred speech that you would do on the phone, whatever publications that you may transmit via your phone, all legal issues related to your mobile telephone, which causes basically the jurisprudence of that is called mobile law.
So are there the different types of mobile law that in existence?
No, there is only one mobile law,
right?
But the jurisprudence of the mobile law goes to so many sectors, as I mentioned earlier,
right,
on how you gain access to the phone and how you transmit from the phone. And in Sri Lanka, our Telecommunication Regulatory Commission is also involved in somewhat regulating your telephone calls and the misuse of your telephone.
Right. So when it comes to mobile law, sir, can we just explain what abuse is?
When you use your mobile to call and threaten someone with some scary calls, or you use your phone to put WhatsApp messages so as to make someone aware of what you are saying, which is not of a normal nature. Sort of you are telling them that there is a certain threat on them, on those WhatsApp messages. Those are matters that you can go into in that particular area.
Right. So another definition, what bullying is?
Bullying and hatred speech both go hand in hand. Mobile bullying is you systematically calling someone and harassing that someone, and that harassing via your mobile phone can be of three different natures. It can be emotional, it can be verbal, and it can be physical.
Right. So how it comes to the physical scenario, sir?
The physical scenario is where you threaten someone that you will commit hurt or murder or assault him in some form. Under the penal code, there are certain provisions of criminal acts that you will be doing. One of those acts is the way that you can physically threaten him.
Right. So when it comes to in deeper context, mobile phone is also a technical gadget. Correct. So with regard to technology, we talk about cyber security, cyber crimes, and basically termed as computer crimes. Is there any relation between computer crimes and mobile law?
Yes, it's similar, and the facts are very much same, where if you use your phone for a cyber crime or any crime that can be detected, you will be punished under provisions of our Sri Lankan law, where the crimes, the telecommunication crimes on computer crimes act, you can be punished for doing certain acts from your phone. And I must tell you, Charita, now for example, when you talk of crime, from the scene of the crime, if you had taken a couple of calls from the mobile towers in the vicinity, you can find out where the crime has taken place and at what point the crime has taken place. So in that scenario, the police use this technique to go in to the phone and from the towers check where you have perpetrated a crime. For example, if a murder is done in a very exclusive and hideaway place, the police can easily check on that hideaway place to get the location from the towers from which the phone was used. And the police have another tool that they can use, That is that we do not know. We think that when we erase a photograph on our phone or when we erase a message on our phone, that is done.
Right.
That is not so. Because there is a particular computer software that you can remove those erasures that you had done on your phone and get to the truth.
Right.
Now, for example, the government analyst department in the police force and also the Katubedda campus engineering students have a special branch where they take those phones, and if you have deleted any pictures or any messages, you can retrieve them and find out.
Right.
So, for example, if you get a rogue having a mask and you can't see his photograph or his face, you can ask the courts, when you have the CCTV recording, to be sent to the government analyst or to the campus at Mototua, the engineering faculty, and they will remove the mask and show you who the person is.
Yes.
So, police are now on that particular line when these CCTV cameras are operative. So, even on the phone, if you think that you have deleted something, definitely that can be caught and brought to court.
With the new technology, we can have some sort of new initiatives, as you always say, new research paves the way for new innovations.
That is so.
Right. So, when it comes to those crimes and other things, we have some sort of a basis with ethics. So, what is the relation here?
Now, the ethics relationship here is that normally when a phone call is given, someone must answer and someone doesn't answer, but it goes much further than that, where you do cloning on the phone. The cloning can be of two different types. Cloning can be that particular phone, you have another phone similar to that, the particular make situation where the phone looks very similar. And the next situation is where you use the different apps in that phone without the owner knowing that you have got into his system, and you clone all the material that is in the phone.
Is it copying from one device to the other?
Copying and also hacking.
Right.
Hacking under section 2 of the Computer Crimes Act in Sri Lanka you will be dealt with. I think you are having a fine and imprisonment imposed on that. But cloning is something different. For example, Charita, if a mother takes the phone of her elder daughter when she is asleep and she has a thumb impression to open the phone, and she puts her thumb impression and opens the phone, you can't call it hacking, it's cloning. She is going into the material of that private person, finding out to whom the calls were given and from whom the calls were retrieved and what photographs passed from one phone to another. But the cloning can be really easily detected. It can be simply detected if you have a great intelligence. For examples, if that same elder daughter's phone is used by the younger daughter, and the younger daughter transmits messages to the mother in that phone without any spelling mistake and with perfect English, you can know that that coming from the younger daughter and not from the elder daughter, who makes so much of spelling mistakes and so much of uncertainty, or the expression is weak compared to the younger daughter. So, the cloning, you don't have to go to the police to find out the cloning. If you have the basic intelligence, you can find out that someone has used someone's phone without the knowledge of that person. Now, in that context, you can peep into anyone's phone in Sri Lanka. We are very lucky. We don't have the law of privacy.
That means if you are texting something, I can peep and see.
You can peep and see.
Right.
The law of privacy is not there in Sri Lanka. It's under review at the moment and been drafted by eminent people in Sri Lanka. But you can peep into the other person's phone and see what is there. But you can't use that information or those pictures or the data to be transmitted to someone else. If you do that, then you are committing a crime under our law in Sri Lanka.
That means we can't absorb that particular information and publish it or use it in a certain sort of defamation or something like that. It's prohibited.
Prohibited. That's the addressee, that the person who has the subject cannot send it if someone else sees it and intermeddles with it and comes and gets the subject. He cannot transfer to someone else because that will be an offense. But you can have it in the phone and you can look and see what has happened. So, the situation if I told of the mother and the daughter, where she opens the phone using the fingerprint, and the situation of the younger daughter texting to the sister's phone, there are two different criminal legal situations.
Situations thereon. Right. Okay, so when it comes to that particular area, I might like question you about the IMEI numbers, IMEI
Yes.
number. There is
The
a particular
IMEI
number.
numbers and the ESPN numbers, as they call it internationally, gives the phone number, the model, and the software that is being used on the phone. So once a phone gets lost, you are supposed to immediately report to the police, because if your phone is used for terrorist activity or any drug activity, you will be called upon to answer. So it's much safer when a phone is missing or the SIM card is missing to immediately go and inform the police to keep your security.
Right. In that point, sir, like if I'm using my mobile phone, I lose it somewhere. So am I liable or am I duty bound to inform the police about that scenario? That means it's
You're
lost.
not duty bound, it's a safety measure, because later on you might be taken to custody for using someone's phone.
So we can't say like it's lost, I don't know.
You can't say that.
Right.
For examples, in Katnak airport, close by in the grounds, someone has left his telephone and gone, and he was playing a cricket match. And when he came back, that phone was used by someone else. And that was used by someone who had given a threatening call to one of the police higher-ups to one of his concubines.
Right.
And that person was taken into custody. We had great issues on how to get them out. But we proved that it was done not within his knowledge.
Right.
But there is a duty of safety with you to keep your mobile phone that cannot be reached from someone else.
Right. If I'm going to buy a mobile phone from a shop, they don't register my details with the mobile as far as I'm concerned, but the SIM card that is being used is registered to a particular person's identity card or any other sort of a document. So if I'm using the phone, do I need to use my own SIM card? Can I use my father's or?
You can use your father's SIM card, but you will be cloning at that point also, because actually the messages that are going out and the phone calls that are transmitted are basically your father is liable. So therefore, you are if he has not consented to that act, you are committing a fraud.
That means we can't use someone else's SIM card and use it as our own, although we do.
Charita, of late we have seen in our criminal law that a lot of dead people are giving telephone calls.
Yes.
That is, after their death, their SIM card and phone is taken by someone else for criminal activity and used, because when you trace the phone back to the originator, the originator has gone missing or dead for a long time.
Right.
So in those circumstances, if you are using a dead man's phone, under Sri Lankan law there is no impediment, but under the UK law there is great impediment, because what you have in your mobile phone, for example, cryptocurrency, your data, your photographs, history on certain matter, your banking accounts, all those things that person can get into.
Right.
So there in UK there is a special provision that you have to empower and return back the phone and get permission to use the particular phone.
That means if some person is dead, for an example, if our if a member of our house is particularly died, so can't we use his mobile phone or even answer phone call that he is getting?
No, after his death you strictly can't, and you strictly can't use it. Commonly today it's used from people to be harassed on that type of phone, because they can't be used.
Right. So when it comes to the certain point of hacking, if a dead person's phone is being used in a certain manner, will it comes under hacking?
It will come under hacking, under the control, because it is done without his knowledge.
Without his knowledge. So to any justifiable reason, can't we sort out like this is the purpose that we did? So this is the issue that we were dealing with. Can't we justify?
It's very hypothetical, but for example, if you used it for something like terrorist activity or for drug dealing, where the police can take the phone into custody without any issue at all.
Right.
Now in Sri Lanka, when you are entered into going into the cell on remand, you hand over your stuff to the police, your watch, your purse, but your mobile phone you don't have to hand over. You can hand over to one of your friends or relatives to take it out. Now the details of that mobile phone, the police have absolutely no right to go into at any inquiry unless they have a court search warrant to search your phone.
Right. That means that we can't, like even a police officer comes and, alright, we need to check your phone, and they are asking for a, we can't.
That is a personal, it's like your passport or your identity card. You can show them that you have the passport and the identity card, but personally to take it over unless you have done a crime, which I told you comes under Terrorism Act. you cannot confiscate the phone.
That means we can refuse giving the phone.
You can refuse giving the phone. For example, if there is pornography on your phone, you can certainly refuse to give the phone, because the pornography, if you transmit that pornography from your phone to another phone, only it's a criminal act.
Right.
According to section 4 of 1927, the Vagrants Ordinance, and section 4 section 4 of 1927 is basically the Pornography Act in Sri Lanka. The Vagrants Ordinance is section act number 4 in 1841. Those two acts, both of the, if you contravene those acts by publicating the pornographic item or pictures, then you have made an offense. If you are just having something in your phone, there is still no law in Sri Lanka, because the law of privacy is still not there in Sri Lanka for you to take it into custody.
Right. I'm going into a small example, sir. I'm taking a picture of you and I'm publishing it a certain sort of a place without your consent. So according to that particular statement, if the law of privacy is not well implemented here, I'm not liable for that.
Charita, basically you can take a picture of any handsome man or any luscious woman, so long as it doesn't degrade them into your phone without their knowledge.
Right. That means into our phone means can't we use into a particular source of advertisement or something?
No,
like
you can't use it to advertisement, because then you are sending it out from your phone without their consent. With their consent only you can use it. But certainly you can take a dance recital on your phone, you can video it for your personal interest. But if you start publicizing it, then without their knowledge there will be certain performing rights which they are entitled to, which will be infringing.
Right. So in any scenarios, like if I am taking my mobile phone out and having a certain video here, if that particular act or the situation that the particular persons are dealing with is not suitable to be videographed or photographs to be taken, still I am not liable.
But that question arises this way: what is obscene? Black's Law Dictionary states what is objectionable is what is called obscene. So if you are having material which is not obscene and a normal phone that you have recorded, you can watch it with your friends, but you can't share it with your friends.
Right.
You can't share it with your friends.
At the moment of having that particular videography done, can't, if that particular person is taken into custody or something like,
you can take action. Basically what you are saying is that he has transmitted the,
not transmitted
without
yet.
transmitting it, he is not liable.
Right.
If
So
he has it on his phone, he is not liable.
not liable in any scenario.
In any scenario.
Right. So moving in deeper, like to a particular practical context, I have my mobile phone. I'm driving. Prohibited.
You are not supposed to answer your mobile phone while driving, because the contemplation there is that you must have both hands on your steering wheel when you are driving. That is why you can't smoke while you are driving. But there is a dilemma: if you are having both hands on your steering wheel, who is going to put the gear in your car?
Right.
Right? They have not gone that far.
Right.
So anyway, use it the mobile phone and having the radio out loud in your car so as to disturb others. And for you to get disturbed by answering a call whilst driving is an offence, not under the motor traffic law, it's related regulation, where the fine is 2,500 rupees. And Charit, not only that, if you use the mobile phone to cross the pedestrian crossing,
Right.
and you say GPS or you are on a call, that also is an offence. Crossing the road with the phone in your ear or listening to something is an offence.
Right. That means we particularly divert from our attention.
That's divert from attention. And recently, it's a developing law now that if you use your phone when you are traveling,
Right.
while you are seated in the car in Gampaha, and you have reached Colombo within say 10 or 15 minutes, which you would have driven at a very high velocity and a very high speed, that will be detected from the towers one day, and when you arrive in a couple of days, you might get a charge sheet for excessively speed driving, because on the velocity and the movement from point A to point B, they will show that you have travelled at so many miles per hour.
Right.
So that is the future law that we are going to envisage, not having speed traps and speed policemen to trap you on your driving speed. On your mobile phone answering, you will be caught via the particular satellite or the towers in the area.
Right. That means to travel in that particular speed, we need to have some sort of an excessive amount of speed.
Amount.
Right. Okay. So that is a new trend, or
that is a coming trend. That is a coming trend. Overseas, they are just started on that. If you are gone from point A to point B, and your car's phone is detected, if it has gone more than the regulatory period of speed that you are going, you will be charged.
Right. So when it comes to the practical applicability of having a mobile phone in our hand while driving, so we can just simply set it out like we need to have two hands on the steering wheel, despite of who is having the gear shifting or something like that. But so I'm like parking my vehicle aside, answering the phone call, keep it aside, it's on loudspeaker mode, and I'm just taking the vehicle to the track and driving. I have both hands here, but I'm connected with the call.
Yes, that's basically coming. If you are saying that you are driving the car and you are talking to the next occupant in the car, which is permissible. So basically, if you are having a hands-free set and you are driving the vehicle, you are allowed to talk into your hands-free set.
Right.
But you cannot take the phone into your hand and answer, because that will be contravening the law.
Right. So that is the practical applicability that we are dealing with when having a mobile phone. So you need to be very careful and cautious. It's prohibited by law. You can't drive while the phone is on your hand, and even if you are a pedestrian, you can't cross the pedestrian crossing with your phone on hand or ear, diverting your attention, and even adhere to those things. So as the program Law and Order runs, we are giving particular advices for you all for not letting you in trouble. And sir, like one of the most important questions in our mobile phones, I think my phone has, and might be many other people have, calls are being auto recorded. Can we? Because
even there in Sri Lanka, as we don't have a law of privacy, we can auto record. But you will see that certain banks, when they are calling you, they put that first sentence that there is a voice recording of your conversation, because they are paying it very clear that recording may be used later in any court case to say that you promised to settle the loan on such and such a date, but you did not settle the loan, and therefore that will be taken as admission that you obtained the loan. That you obtain the loan. First, in the legal defense, we don't say first that you even obtain the loan. We ask the bank to prove sometimes. But here they can take up the defense. You have already acquiesced in that fact, and that now you are liable to pay because you have asked for installments over the phone. So necessarily you don't have to send it in writing. On your verbal telephone conversation that is recorded, the bank may use that information against you.
Information against you means like the banks can, like as you said, they play a certain recording crystal clear that this call is being recorded. But in mobile, some mobiles, the software is being set up like we can switch on the auto record option. So in that scenario, I'm not consenting to record my call. Is
as
it okay?
The law of privacy doesn't prevail in Sri Lanka,
right,
you can record any telephone call.
And can we use it against a certain case?
You can use it against them at a point that you go into a court of law.
Is it contemporary evidence?
Yes, that is contemporary recordings, and if you come in within the special provisions of the Evidence Ordinance Act, as I mentioned, section 4, 5 and 6, those recordings you can be used in court to prove your fact.
Right.
I had a situation where one lady was in a particular room and there was a video recording taken of her, and we were able to find out which room in that particular hotel she was with, and our client went and took the same video recording of that room and proved that she was committing adultery with someone else according to the book that she had signed in to come to the hotel.
Right. Many interesting areas, many interesting disciplines, and being innovative and thinking in a different manner will pave us the way to search the vast area of knowledge and quench the thirst of knowledge, and even to think it in a new manner. So ladies and gentlemen, we were discussing about mobile law and new trends and certain advices for you all to survive in this legal environment without making it a hassle. So thank you very much, sir, Mr. Ian Fernando, Senior Counsel, for joining with us in our particular discussion on mobile law. So in the future also we are doing some topics very interesting for you all. Stay tuned with Law and Order, your favorite show. Have a pleasant day. That can't we take actions against him?